Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my Uncharted free crushing difficulty walkthrough, and this is chapter 19, also known as the settlement. And we are getting close to the end of this game. There are only 22 chapters in this, so this is the shortest one of the first three, because I think the first one had 25 chapters and the second one had 26 or something. And well, anyway, we have a little way left to go before we're at the end. And this chapter is quite fun, but the first part, or the beginning of the first fight, can be a little bit challenging. Because when you go into the first fight coming up, you don't have a weapon. And the first enemy that's gonna show up is a guy on the left side of the battlefield, and what you have to do is run up to him and immediately try to get his weapon, so beat his skull in and steal his rifle. And sometimes that goes great, sometimes it doesn't go so well. But you can get a little bit unlucky. It happened to me once or twice that I got instantly mowed down. But don't despair, just try again and you will prosper. So I go immediately for him. I got a little bit lucky that he tried to throw a grenade, he didn't start shooting. So he was in his grenade throwing animations, so didn't have too much problems. And this is a great position to hide out, because most enemies will come attack you from the front, some will try to go to your left. And you need to be aware of that. You see one guy coming up to my left right now. But they will never, or that's the only side where they can flank you, is from your left. And also when you go into the last wave of this fight, or what is it? The third wave of this fight, I recommend you fall back to this position. And there is also something with this chapter. In this chapter we are introduced to a new mechanic, and that is the breakable pillars. When you see a stone pillar that is surrounded by red planks of wood, it means it's destructible and it can work as cover. It's a mechanic that is only used in this chapter, so I feel that it's a little bit unnecessary. Or actually, I feel that it's very unnecessary to introduce so late in the game, and this is the only time they use it. But anyway, it does fill a function in one of the fights coming up in this chapter, because we are taking on an APC, and we are gonna destroy some pillars to take it out. But that takes care of the first wave of enemies. And be careful, because the second wave has already spawned in, and they are right down those stairs. And I don't like, or I like to be very careful going into the second wave, because I think the checkpoint puts you at the bottom of those stairs. So if you die during the second part of the fight, you may end up in a really shitty situation, to put it simply, because the game can spawn you in the direct line of fire of all the enemies, so try to stay back as far as you can. Use these pillars. Those guys are a bit reluctant to venture too far up. I'm not quite sure if they even try to engage you on top of these stairs. They will just stay down there. And when you've taken them out and you head down the stairs, you will trigger the third wave. And that's the wave I was talking about earlier. When that wave spawns in, you can try to be really aggressive and spawn kill most of them, because they will break through a wall. But if that doesn't succeed, try to fall back to that broken pillar and the other little wall thing that I hid behind when this fight started. Because they can run up the stairs over on the right side of this battlefield and on the left side. And I acted a bit like an idiot, that's my mistake, and I want you to learn from my mistakes. I make them sometimes so you don't have to make them, and I always tell you when I've made them. And I try to help you do it in easier ways. So if you don't manage to spawn kill the third wave, I think that took care of the second one. Now I'm just gonna run around, try to pick up some ammo and some grenades if I can find them. So then just fall back to that little pillar and wall that we broke in the beginning, because then they will only have the choice to do a full frontal attack or go to the left, and you can bottleneck them. But I wasn't so smart, so I did that. You see right there, they break through that wall, and they break through a wall over a bit more over to the right there. So you can throw in grenades, take them out, take out most of them instantly. And I decided to fall back to this area. I had forgotten about the staircase on the right. And that's what made this a little bit problematic. Because I exposed myself very much to danger. You see right there, I am so close to a death screen. And for some reason I didn't fall back. I don't know why I didn't do it. I committed, it worked, since it ended up in the video. But it's not the smartest tactic to use. You see, this was the guy that almost killed me. Almost killed me twice even. I'm really close to death right now as well. But there aren't too many enemies in the third wave. I think it's only 4, maybe 5. Oh, one guy left. This is also a wall you can hide behind. Then you can see, that staircase over to the right. Then you can cover both flanks. But once again, I'm starting to get a little bit naggy, repeating myself. I try to stay away from doing that, but hiding behind those pillars in the beginning is the best cover. Because that makes them do a frontal attack. So now we can move on, because all the enemies are dead, and I picked up all the ammo I could find, and we will go into the next fight. This guy actually managed to kill me once. Damn, that was quite embarrassing. But for some reason I just couldn't get my aim up at him fast enough for me to take him out before he managed to kill me. So be aware of him. And also, when you're climbing this wall, you see me turning the camera over to my left, which puts me in some problems with the platforming in this game. Because one guy will spawn in at the top of those stairs, and I wasn't 100% sure when he would spawn in. I know now that it is when he jump over to this next ledge. There we have him. So I wanted to make sure that I was ready for him when he comes. So be aware of him, because he can also put a quick end to your progress. And there is no rest for the wicked, so we go immediately into the next fight. And also in this fight coming up right now, there are, I would say, 2 strategies to take on this fight.
This is getting ridiculous.
You can go up here and hide behind a little bit of wall. You see right there in front of me. I think also that there is a sniper rifle over there. I like to use that position. I didn't get it to work this time, so I decided to try a different strategy, and that is hide down here. And I think this is, I wouldn't say a better strategy, because I like to do quite an aggressive approach, but it is a safer strategy. It does take a little bit longer though, because you need to wait for the enemies to get pretty close to that little gap in the wall. You can try to move up a little bit, shoot one guy so he drops his grenade and sends himself into Neverland. Always beautiful when that happens, so I liked it so much, so I did an instant replay and did it on the next guy as well. Because most enemies will go up to this, what you call it, an edge. But they will not venture further in.
Oh, great.
I think they can do it, some of the enemies can at least. But most of them won't. They will stay up there so you can more or less pick your shots and play it slow. Play it a little bit safer. And the biggest threat when you're standing down here is when people throw in grenades. But we all know what to do with enemy grenades in Uncharted 3. We do it like that. Just pick it up and throw it back. And the only time it poses a threat is if 2 enemies throw grenades at the same time. Okay. And I have no idea what happened there. I don't know if I shot someone just as he was about to throw a grenade. Or something like that. But either way, it worked beautifully. That's a guy with an RPG. Be very careful of him. He almost hit me straight in the face, but I got lucky and he clipped the wall instead.
Great.
Thank you, old ruins, for saving my life. I'm sorry, I should have told you about that guy. I had forgotten about him, actually. Maybe I suppressed the memory of him. But that takes care of most enemies in that fight. There is a second wave coming in right now. And I'm gonna head up a little bit further. I'm gonna pick up the sniper rifle and hide behind this wall. Because now I know there are only 2 or 3 enemies left. So the first wave is the hardest part, because that contains the most enemies. So I just shoot him straight in the face with my lovely sniper rifle. Love the sniper rifles in these games. They are so empowering. When you aim properly, that is. I can be absolute shit at aiming sometimes, as you have seen in some of my videos. Sometimes I go completely American sniper, or that Finnish sniper. Simo, also known as White Death. I think it's called the most dangerous sniper in the history of mankind or something like that. And sometimes I couldn't hit a brick wall if it fell over me, which is always a bit embarrassing when that happens. But unless you're an elite gamer playing for ninjas in pajamas or something, then you're allowed to sometimes be shitty at things. But also it shows that you don't have to have perfect aim. My strategies don't rely on you being an elite gamer at all times. My walkthroughs they are made to help even average people get through games on higher difficulties. And this fight coming up, this is by far the hardest part of this chapter. The first thing you want to do is focus your attention on that big APC. And riddle me this. How the hell did they get that APC up there? And why would they want to put it up there? There is no logical explanation for any of it. But I think, because you saw the transition there is a checkpoint in this fight. And I think the checkpoint relies on you killing the APC or blowing up the pillars so it falls down. And that was a beautiful grenade toss, or a grenade back toss. Toss back, whatever. I threw it, it exploded right next to his head. Absolutely beautiful. And now I've cleared out all the regular enemies. You need to be very aggressive in this fight, because there are quite a few enemies. They will attack you from both left and right and try to go completely gangbang on your ass. But if you're really aggressive, use your grenades and take out the APC as fast as possible, and you will not have any problems. Now it's just these 2 heavies left. And I'm gonna run around over here and pick up this what's called RPG, sorry. And I'm gonna use it. I messed up a little bit, because I think I was aiming for one of the heavies. And as I said, sometimes I aim godlikely, and sometimes I couldn't hit a barn from the inside. So I shoot the door. You're supposed to shoot the door, but usually you do it after you've killed those 2 guys. But that makes them more aggressive, because if you haven't blown up the door, I don't think they will advance up to this point. But it worked beautifully, because I blew up the gate. They took some splash damage, because the RPG has quite a brutal AoE sometimes. And then I threw in a grenade. One of them tossed a grenade at me, so I just threw it back. Takes out both of them. Worked beautifully. And we can continue onwards. And now we have 2 small passages left. There's absolutely no reason to run around and pick up these weapons because you will not be using them more in this chapter, and you will lose them before you go into the next chapter. But when in this segment coming up right now, when you jump down on the other side of this wall, or you fall down because of this guy, hide behind this little wall and don't do anything. There's no reason to shoot, there's no reason to throw grenades, or if you want to throw grenades, but I think his name is Salim, and his friends, see him right there, they come in and save the day. They are the Rub al-Khali version of the cavalry, coming to save the day, killing everyone. If you want to, you can try to shoot some enemies here, and you are gonna ride around this little old ruined city. And this is a scripted sequence, there is nothing you can do about it. Your rider gets shot by a sniper, so he dies, and you're gonna have to control the horse through the old narrow streets. And I don't think you can die in this sequence. I'm 99.9% sure. At least I have never done it. Maybe on Brutal, I'm not quite sure, but I don't think so. And when you've ridden your horse a lap around this old town, we're gonna come up to this little bridge, and there's a guy with an RPG. So we just pick it up as we ride past, and we shoot out the gate. And that takes us out of chapter 19, and we can head into chapter 20. So I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.